With a Fox 5 News alert, Iran's supreme leader releasing his first public statement since a ceasefire was declared in the war between Iran and Israel. The 86-year-old hasn't been seen in public since June 13th, when Israel attacked an Iran nuclear facility and targeting top military commanders and scientists. In a video message, he said the U.S. had, quote, achieved no gains from this war. On Saturday, the U.S. hit several nuclear sites in Iran with bunker buster bombs. Meanwhile, back here at home, Senate Republicans hit a major setback in their race to pass the so-called Big Beautiful Bill as a chamber official ruled against a key provision to get the conference on board to vote for the plan by week's end. Joining us now to discuss this and so much more, Andrea Kaye is back from the Andrea Kaye Show right here on the Live Zone. Good to see you, Andrea. I haven't seen you in quite some time.
I know. I'm so glad to be back with you, Guy. Thanks for having me.
Boy, do we have a lot to talk about, so let's jump into it. The big story of the day, the Pentagon briefing with Mr. Pete Hegseth earlier today, during which Hegseth defended the U.S. strikes on Iran and forcefully criticized media coverage of early intelligence assessments of the impact of Saturday's bombing. What do you think he had to say?
Well, I think I haven't seen anything like this since Don Rumsfeld, who knew how to work a room, right? He has been absolutely breathtaking, not just this morning, but also in NATO, in which he defended. And should he have to defend one of the most successful military operations in American history? And the reason why he's having to defend it, Guy, is because leakers decided to try to kneecap this administration, to try to declare to the world into one of our greatest enemies, the #1 state sponsor of terrorism that has killed more Americans than any other regime. They're trying to, these leakers and their spokespeople in the legacy media are trying to prop up a regime that has declared war against Israel and the United States of America. And so I loved this press conference today, because you don't have to have the sense God gave a billy goat to understand after watching this press conference, if you didn't before, that the nuclear capabilities of Iran have been, pick whatever your word is, but they've gone bye-bye for quite a long time.
Playing devil's advocate here, though, Andrea, we know that, well, quite honestly, Hegseth did not repeat the president's assessment that the U.S. bombers completely destroyed those nuclear bunkers. What say you about that?
Well, I say that we're back into the Bill Clinton days when he said, well, it depends on what the definition of is. You know, why are we parsing the word obliterated? Look, let me use a picture of an illustration. When we have these massive wildfires out here, like we saw with the Pacific Palisades, and a home is burned, and we got like a chimney over here, or part of a chimney, you know, we might have a toy that's over here. Does anybody not think, but the rest of the structure is just laid in ruins? Do we parse over whether or not that home was destroyed, obliterated, incinerated? Do we do that? No, we don't. It's just insane the level that many people are going to try to diminish the success of the United States military.
All right, let's move on to the Supreme Court, which will release 6 opinions for tomorrow. 2 big ones, including Trump's effort to limit birthright citizenship. Those opposing it say the Trump administration is trying to undo that via executive power. The other comes out of Texas, where lawmakers could limit access that minors have porn to. I'm curious, your take on either one?
Well, my take on birthright citizenship is that I think when Trump signed that executive order, it was with his intent to get the Supreme Court to rule once and for all that birthright citizenship was never intended by the founders to apply to every Tom, Dick, and terrorist that decided to crawl across our borders, that it was specific and intended for the slaves. And so I think that it's high time that the Supreme Court, that the High Court rule on that, and should rule in his favor. But I don't think anybody is counting on Amy Coney Barrett or any of the other squishy rhinos to do the right thing there. As for Texas, you know, I think that I'm torn on that one, to be honest, because I think parents need to have control over their children and not the state. And so I think that no child should be exposed to pornography in any way, but is it the state who should be controlling that, or is it the parents? I do want to mention there was a Supreme Court ruling today, very important. They ruled 6-3 to uphold that South Carolina could deny Medicaid funds to Planned Parenthood. Major win today for preborn children, for the unborn.
Andrea, will end with this, and that is that major snag surrounding Trump's big, beautiful bill. This after it was discovered that the current way it's set up, well, pertaining to taxing Medicaid providers, does not adhere to rules for passing the bill with a simple majority. Now, this was a key provision to help offset the cost of the bill's tax cuts. Democrats now jumping for joy, saying, hey, we told you so. Republicans are saying, you know what, no biggie, we'll just go back to the drawing board.
Well, yeah, they can fix that provision just like they did fix the provision on no tax on Social Security. They found an end around for that. The real issue today on the big fat beautiful bill as it relates to Medicaid is the Senate parliamentarian deciding she's going to use her big fat pen and wipe away the people's agenda of no Medicaid going to illegal aliens and no Medicaid spending for trans surgeries. The American people don't want it. John Thune needs to get his house in order, guy.
Well, there you have it. Yet again, Andrea Kaye. Folks that want to get a chance to listen to you, Andrea Kaye, on your show, how would one go about to do so?
Just go to AndreaKayeShow.com, AndreaKayeShow.com. Guy, thanks for having me.
Always good to see you.